everybody, it's Lumi. Welcome back to my channel. I know that we all done some builds before, and then when you actually test out the character, they don't do as much damage as the guide usually says. In this video, I'm gonna go over some mistakes some Genshin players do that completely destroys their damage. And by the end of this video, I guarantee you your damage will be a lot better if you watch this entire video. So right now we're gonna go to the first mistake, which is not caring about talent levels. When you go to the character, obviously you're gonna see talents, and a lot of Genshin players usually neglect their talents. Talents are extremely important. Think of it as some type of buff, so whenever you level that up, your buff gets more and more better. So that's why talents are so important, because you are losing out on a lot of damage if you're not leveling up your talents. And I know this because I used to neglect talents all the time. I didn't really know talents were that important, but they are so important later in the endgame when you have to do like Spiral Abyss, the Stygian Onslaught. So the next mistake I want to talk about is leveling the wrong talents. So I actually did this mistake with my Nahida. Her normal attack is level 5. I did not really know what to do with her talents because I just had the talent books and I leveled up the skill to level 5 while the skill was level 1 and the burst was level 1. So I made a really bad decision. When I use her, usually I only use her burst or her skill, and then her normal attack is completely useless because my main DPS usually does most of the normal attacks. So I really regret that decision. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't have leveled this and instead concentrated on these two. But thank God I didn't level it to like level 8, because then I would have wasted so much more resources if that happened. So that's why it's really important to not level the wrong talents. Level the talents that you are going to use and would be beneficial when you're doing the damage. So mistake number 3 is having the wrong substats for your character. So before Nahida, I used to have really bad artifacts on her. I don't know if I still have them. I think I deleted it, but let me check and see if they're still there. I remember I used this one because Nahida, obviously she doesn't use Dendro damage bonus because she's not like a main DPS, and most of her damage scales on Elemental Mastery, so the Dendro damage bonus doesn't matter. So that's why I switched to Elemental Mastery later. Now she has a better build, so thank goodness. So the fourth tip I want to talk about is having way too little crit rate to crit damage. So if you look at my Nefa, she's pretty decent, but obviously the crit rate could be higher, because the problem is that if you have way too little crit rate, then your characters aren't going to crit at all. If you don't crit, then there's no point of the crit damage, because you're not critting, and the crit damage is when you crit. So just letting you guys know if you guys didn't know that. So mistake number 5 is bad team synergy. I did make a whole video on how to build teams correctly, so if you need to check that out, I have a Genshin guide where you could see all the videos that I did of Genshin guide so far. So if you like my content, then be sure to check it out. When you don't utilize your reactions or your team resonance or just any characters in the team overall, because you're not maximizing all your characters' damage, which is still leaving a ton of damage out. Just a quick example with this team: Skirk, Escoffier, Farina, and Yelan. If I didn't have Escoffier, then Skirk would be losing about half of her damage, and if I wasn't utilizing the freeze team, then Skirk would literally be doing really low numbers compared to what I do with this team. So that was just a quick example. Moving on to, there's nothing there. Why are you looking at that rock? Okay, so anyways, apparently Nahida's so invested, so I'm just gonna collect it. So mistake number 7 is having a low level for your weapon. If I look at Nahida, I completely leveled her weapon to level 80, and I also did that for Farina. For Nefa, I didn't level it to level 90. Level 80 is okay, but if you do really want to maximize your damage, then I suggest going for level 90, because level 90, it gives you a higher base attack and it also gives you a higher percentage. So if you really do do want to maximize all your damage, you should do level 90 if you want to. And for Columbina's weapon, her weapon's also level 80, so level 90 would obviously be better. I'll show you one of my really low weapon levels. Navia's weapon is level 60, so obviously if I wanted more of a buff, I could get it to level 90 or level 80. And same thing for Mavwika, I could get her weapon to level 80 or level 90. I maximized Zeebai's weapon to level 90, and I could obviously make this higher if I wanted to make my skirk better. So now that we're on the topic of weapons, I want to say mistake number 7 is having a really low refinement rank. So again, an example for my Navia and my Mavwika, their weapons are R1 and they have a really low weapon level. The reason why I'm saying that refinement is really important is because if you make the refinement higher, you get more substats out of it. So for example, if I got Navia's weapon to R2, then her attack will be increased by 30% instead of 24%, which is a really huge bonus if you really want to maximize all your damage. Once again, I won't go too much in depth with it because it's pretty self-explanatory. I want to talk about mistake number 8, and it's having the wrong artifact sets for the characters. So for example, on Yelan, I don't have the right artifact set for her because I was only utilizing Yelan's substats, which you can see over here. I was mainly utilizing the energy recharge, but I think it would have been better if I just stick to the set, but I really couldn't get enough artifacts. But that is a huge mistake because I feel like that if I got 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate, I would definitely have more energy recharge than I do right now. Maybe one day I might do a live stream, just like fixing all my characters' builds, but that's probably gonna be like in the future. So, okay, anyways, going on with mistake number 8 is having your character's level way too low. So if you look at my Chaska, her level is only level 70, and usually what you would want is have the character to level 80 or 90. Those are usually the best levels, so obviously her level is too low. And before, I didn't know why she was doing like such little damage, but then when I checked her level, it reminded me that her level isn't really high and I could obviously do better work with her build as well. So that's pretty much self-explanatory, so I won't go too much in depth about that either. So mistake number 9 is ignoring substats, because what most people will do is they would get the weapon really high leveled and they would get the character really high leveled, but when it comes to artifacts, they literally do not care about it at all, and then they're just gonna slap some random artifacts on the character, and then they're just gonna level it up with like the worst substats known to mankind. And that really isn't good for you because if you do that, then you're wasting a lot of substats, and substats are really huge if you want to do a lot of damage. If I slap some random substats on like one of my characters, then my characters would really not be doing a lot of damage, and I would just be wasting a lot of my resources on artifacts, which isn't good. So mistake number 11 is not leveling your artifacts. So I completely forgot about Zeebai's artifacts. I didn't really level it up, and leveling your artifacts up could give you a lot of benefits. The reason why is because artifacts make up like 90% of your substats. So right now I'm gonna level her artifact up because that is really important to do. So when I just leveled up my Zeebai artifact, I leveled it up to level 20 and I got over 10% for crit rate, and now her crit ratio is a perfect 1 to 2, which is really good because now she can crit almost every time. And not leveling up your artifacts could lead to lots of substats loss, so I just want to emphasize that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do have a Ko-Fi page if you want to support me. I'm trying to use a new mic since I don't even have a microphone to record my videos with, and it would be so appreciated if you could donate. All tips are welcomed, and as always, stay safe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.